Mr. Tyler Fitzel. It's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
And it's exciting because we got new stuff to talk about.
Yeah, yes.
And that's why, for us, it's Minnesota and it's January, so typically it wouldn't be an exciting time for golfers. But it's for us within second swing, we get pumped about the new clubs. So, TaylorMade Qi35, we'll start there.
Okay.
The new series from TaylorMade, and they're releasing the new metals every year. But I'm already encouraged just because Colin Morikawa has notoriously been playing his sim driver for 4 or 5 years now. He's tried other models, but the sim keeps going back in the bag. Started this year at the Century putting in a Qi35 model. So perhaps TaylorMade has kind of found at least something for him, and that would get me to believe there's something special about Qi35.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that get wrapped up in the technology side. I'm a big proponent of kind of looking at the benefit for us. So when we start talking about like Qi35, what are the features? What's the technology? And then how is that going to benefit us as a consumer, as a golfer? The first thing that TaylorMade really started to hit on, they have redefined kind of the shaping and the look. And so they've tried to go much more plain. So they're using a new carbon metal mix. Okay, none of the stuff that they're using is just pure carbon. In other words, like just fibers that are just kind of woven together. They're woven together with other things that allow them to create that strength. If we're looking at any of the models in general, the aerodynamics are huge. So you're seeing where they're trying to kind of shape things, because the club moving through the air faster is huge. So they've also got 5 models. That's right. So they have an LS or low spin. They have the Qi35, which is just a standard. Well, we call it standard, but it's their base model. Yeah. Right. They also have a Max, which is a kind of going back to this 10,000 MOI.
Max forgiveness.
Yeah, max forgiveness driver conversation. The other one that they have is a Max Light, which is for, let's call it, more deliberate swing speeds, right? So that fits a wide variety, as well as a women's driver. And so with all of those models, right, there's a club for every type of swing that we're talking about. Yeah. And the ability to make adjustments, the ability to maybe move weight into certain places, and with all the different shaft offerings that they're continuing to upgrade, we have a lot of versatility.
Yeah, there's for every model there's a weight port. Now, the Max and Max Light, there's one weight port in the back of the club head, and then with the standard and with the LS, you have multiple weight ports on the sole where you can move around. The LS model actually has 3 that you can shift weight around, and then the standard has kind of the one towards the front, one towards the back. You can adjust. I also like with TaylorMade, I like what they stick to technologies that work, and I say that because twist face is still here. Yep. They're not calling out as much. 7 years later, but the design is still there and it's still effective. So they implement it into their new drivers. The speed pocket is also still there. Yep. Which again is that kind of little, you'll see it on the bottom of the club head. It's right near leading edge on the sole. Kind of a, really it's a pocket, but it's designed to kind of help the club, maintain energy transfer on low face hits. And so the result is, like you said, there's a model for everybody within this driver series from Qi35. And then another thing I need to point out too is just the look of it. They went away from, they kind of mix it up quite a bit every year now. They're going, sort of the black matte for a couple years with Stealth. Last year was a glossy, shiny black that was really clean. It was the Infinity Carbon Crown, I think it was called. And now you've got this Chromium Carbon that is a little more gray and kind of silvery, but it's a matte finish as well that I think is pretty clean with a black twist face. Yeah. Which I think will be contrasted nicely with a white golf ball.
And to think about it, every company, but more specifically TaylorMade, they're going back to that carbon face, and they're making advancements in that, right? So we think about where TaylorMade was when they introduced it in Stealth, and it was kind of this new thing, and there were, let's call it, slight issues with maybe some of the wear and tear on it. And they have continued to upgrade that with the technologies that they're using to, implore a better carbon face, if you will. So that's something, as you say too, they've stuck to their guns on, and they want to continue on. And it's one of the most used drivers on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like this is some, well, it might work for a little while, or it might work for one person or another. It's actually working for a lot of people, and so it's really, it's kind of fun to see.
You can't. The Carbonwood Era is clearly effective when it comes to the drivers.
Yeah.
In the way they refine it over the years. With the Fairway Woods.
Yeah.
The big thing I know that the fitters are excited about is the adjustability. So, in the QI10, the standard model did not have an adjustable hosel; it was bonded.
Yes.
Now almost all of the offerings in Loft are adjustable. I think there's a couple of maybe the 7 wood of the standard model, and then the max maybe the 7 and 9 wood. But I believe all 3 and 5 woods throughout are fully, have a full adjustable hosel, which is going to be huge in fittings. So of the models, there's the Tour, which also has that sliding weight on the sole. 40 grams, and you can kind of flip it around and move it, super far forward, and then you can also flip it and almost play it kind of more like a 4-wood in terms of the forgiveness level on it. You also have standard QI35, QI35 Max, and then Max Light as well, plus the women's. So you have the same cadence, I guess, as the drivers.
Right, and that's where TaylorMade came up with the QI35.
Yeah.
The 5 is referring to the 5 models.
Yes.
The 3 actually refers to the 3 pillars that the company in engineering and technology are designing things around. So it's a good story on that side of it. But one of the things as fitters is for many years now, we've had a fitting 3-wood that allowed us to change out shafts. So it's the same technology. They just finally said, well, why don't we just put this in everything anyway?
Yeah.
And so I used to be able to take like the stock model 3-wood that was non-adjustable, but I had an adjustable version of it to do fittings with.
Yeah.
Right? Now everyone can.
Yeah.
And now,
but also it's let's say someone orders that club and does a follow-up fitting with you.
Yes.
It's way tougher to, adjust the club to somebody's swing as it evolves throughout the year, 2 years, Now you have that possibility with 3 woods and 5 woods in this lineup. And then we should also note, too, like with 7 woods becoming so popular, there's a 7 wood in the Max Light and Standard.
Yes.
And there's a 9 wood as well in the Max Light as well. So, and then the QI35 Tour also has a 7 wood, which is, I think, new. I don't think they had a 7 wood of the LS or the Tour in the previous year.
They didn't. That was a huge one because they're seeing the popularity of the launch. Stronger swingers, like when you have that ball speed, can create some of that launch to it. But also, if you've got something that's flighted a little low, when we're talking about carrying distances of 200, 210, 20, 30, 40, you want to be able to stop that thing. And the only way to do that is to get it to launch a little bit higher. So the 7 wood is a huge factor in this. And we're going to see it. We're going to see it in a lot of people's bags because it's a very useful club.
Yeah. For any level of player.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Now in the Rescues, couple of changes, I guess, to sort of the nomenclature in that they don't have a quote unquote tour model with the QI35 series. They just have QI35 kind of a standard rescue. Then they have a Max model.
Yep.
And then a Max Light and the women's Max Light as well.
Right.
But similar technology involved there. The adjustable hosel does not have as much adjustability, but it is still up to 3 degrees in adjustments.
Yeah.
You also have, as with the Fairway Woods, that speed pocket is still there. So I think these look really good. I think the QI35 Rescue is almost kind of taking the place of the Tour.
Yes.
And the Max is kind of taking the place of the Standard in the previous series. You still have kind of the same variability and playability throughout the series.
Totally. Yeah. And I've played it, I've hit it, and I really like the look. I really like the shape. I really like the colors, the feel. It's very solid. It's kind of more of a muted sound to it. Got a chance to hit a couple of the different versions of it. I I really like it, and I think it's one of the better maybe all around hybrids that they put together for a while. So I find the that adjustability is really key if we're talking about. Listen, we want to get a club in your bag that performs well, but we also want to do it for a while. We don't. This isn't just a 1 year. That we're not in the business of just selling a club so you come back next year.
Right.
We're also in the business of finding the right product, and if that has adjustability, that allows you
So much easier.
Yeah, down the road is like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more right or left, higher, lower, and we can make some adjustments to it and keep that club in your bag performing at a higher rate.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think overall QI35 they didn't completely change the game with anything, but I think they just improved on what was working. And then they added the multi-material construction. Allowed them to move the weights around a little bit. And so there's really good stuff here with QI35.
I think it's going to be a very big year.
Yeah.
Yep.